Do give thanks for life and the mercy that I've given. We give thanks for all good things around us are sent from Zion above. So we praise Farai for his divine love. Definitely, we do give thanks for this divine opportunity to be with you once more. And we give thanks for the opportunity to be live on in St. Lucia and also live on YouTube with our people. And as you know, it is definitely Sunday. And whenever it's Sunday, you know, we're talking about the food of seven. And we're talking about ways of upliftment of people on the whole. And we give thanks for all the upful developments coming out of the past 7 days of that 7-day cycle and the beginning of a new cycle today, the Sunday, and continuing tomorrow, Monday. So we give thanks also for the Sabbath that was just fulfilled. You know, give thanks for all good things. You know, give thanks for rest and give thanks for the giving of thanks. Give thanks for life, definitely. So today we just want to just focus primarily on some key aspects, and we're supposed to have a brother joining us shortly in studio. You know, but I'd just like to continue on the journey that we actually began on from our previous program. You know, so it is very important that as a people that we have that level of value, because we were talking about the whole aspect of having value for the things that we actually do. I mean, whatever you're doing, you be the best at it. You don't have to do it because someone is paying you to do it only, but I mean, because you love the work that you do. You know, so we're in a society whereby the whole value system, what really makes something or someone honorable or someone upful, or you know, these things there is different. Like people nowadays, you know, growing up, I was cultured up, you know, to respect my elders. Like, so there is that an elder person, okay, someone of more age than me would really have to put themselves in a particular position to get my wrath then. That I could express myself to them in a manner whereby I might not, I mean, I grew up respecting elders, you know, so it was always important to actually greet your elders, or bonjour, good morning, good afternoon. Yeah, so the time I was actually coming up was a time whereby if you don't tell somebody good morning, an elder in the community, and you pass in and you don't tell someone good morning, right? That was a big crime. You understand? So children get beat up for that. I mean, yeah, man, you get punished for that. You pass an elder in the roadside and you're not saying good morning. Okay, so it is very important that we understand them simple little things there. So coming from a time whereby it was a rule, that when you pass by an elder, you have to bless them up. It was a rule. It was a rule. It was like something that you had to do. You have to do that. You can't just pass by the road and you see the man and you don't say good morning or good afternoon or good night. Man. Oh, even if you said good morning soft and say good morning and they never answer you, so you don't say it again. Your mother who tell you that, right, that if they don't answer you, tell them again. So you cannot really say that, okay, all right, I tell him, but they didn't hear me. No, man, you got any licks for that? Because the principle, give thanks for Ebenezer and Lana Myla, blessed love, give thanks in the chat room on our YouTube, give thanks for the INM, definitely, give thanks that God are here with us. So this set principles of respecting an elder, someone who is of more age, someone, even if no matter what state they are in, no matter what their caliber or their rankings, you had to respect the elder. You had to say good afternoon when you pass by. You had to say good morning. And you have to make sure they hear. And if it is that they don't hear, they will tell you, well, your mama will tell you, tell them until they hear. What are you talking about? So you're going to say, well, you're going to be rude just because, right? You say not just because what you're saying, okay, all right. You're not saying good morning because they don't answer you. Nah, man. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good night. Right? So these principles were ingrained. So there was that natural respect for the elders. So I am a man, I have respect for my elders. I grew up having respect. I have respect for my elders. I try my best to deal with my elders in a particular type of way. Yeah, man. So sometimes even when people talk on WhatsApp, so they will message on WhatsApp, you know. Oh, if I have a headache, what are you supposed to use for that? They're not even telling you, blessed love, good morning, good night, greetings, right? Nothing at all. You know, oh, I have a headache, what are you use for that? Then you ask yourself then, what type of individual that's going to just jump into a conversation, because it only takes a particular type of person that within their core, that principle of just greeting, you know, that greeting. If you don't have that, I mean, that alone, I mean, something is wrong. Yeah, man, something wrong. I'm just saying, something. If you don't do that, what if you are? What? No. Blessed love, give thanks. And if you say good morning, praise, how you doing? Yeah, I'm blessed. Now, what? Yeah, what if you don't mind that? No, that's not nice. So we grew up under that principle, and them kind of principle is what forms a man. So a man developed that fundamental respect for the elders. So within society now, because it is not hammered and drilled and screwed and etched in the hearts of the people to actually respect the elders. You have a society whereby the elders, well, I tell you elders, sometimes you might believe that when I say elders, you might believe it's some kind of 80-year-old or whatever I'm talking about. But I'm talking about people who are even like about 55 years, they're already. Hey, anyone that is 50 years, they're an elder to me. You know what I'm saying now? The people retire at an age, right? Some people retire at 55, you know, and they are an elder. They've been in the police force for over 22 years, or from time they're 18, they're not, and they're retiring at 55, right? And afterwards now, they just pack on a shelf. So after over 40 or over 20 something years of experience, big and healthy and whatever, or sometimes sick, you know how it does go with the amount of stress and the way that our officers does it. Oh my goodness, they need help, man, right? So yeah, they need help, you know. So even, yeah, so of course they need help. They need to, you know, to come to the priest and let the priest guide them into a good diet or thing, and something whereby they could, you know, nice regime, natural, to get healthier. Your health is your wealth. It would be a great thing. So when you really look at these people now, and you understand, well, look, they don't even have that kind of understanding, that aspect whereby they could say, well, they're taking care of themselves good and they're loving themselves. That's where the love comes from, that respect. So as soon as they turn to an age, they pack them in a corner. And a nurse that might be nursing for about 40 years, right? 40 years, nursing, working, long. And after they retire, they pack them in a corner. And a teacher, they're working long, long, and they retire, they take early retirement. They pack them in a corner. Right? So then you have a lot of elders, people with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Rastafari. People that have that level of understanding, that know how things are supposed to happen because they have been in it for a long time. They are just packed in a corner. So, why? Because the society that we are in right now does not really teach the children to have respect for people older than them. I'm just telling you, man. So, not just because of your rank, but just because you have that position of being an elder, that dictates a certain level of respect. Yeah. So you wouldn't just say, it's either you call a person uncle or you call him Mr. I'm just saying, how it is that it is dealt with in our common sense. You see, there is an uncle or Mr. and you understand? You say, just call that person by their first name, no? There was that level of respectability whereby people have to respect the elders. You have to do that. But because there is no system in place, because remember, in our time, a system was put into place by our parents that ensured that we kept up these principles. So when you see the youth nowadays behave in a particular type of way, right? It's because the parents now, as I would always say, all they are doing, they're just paying rent. They pay in the rent, pay rent. That's what they're doing, pay rent. Payrent. If you don't get it, I'm just breaking it down for you if you don't get it. Because some people doesn't really get it. Right? The system have them so mesmerized that you tell them, okay, pay rent, and you say that. Pay rent, man. A parent is a parent. They pay in the rent. All they do, they pay the rent. Okay, so they pay in the rent to live in the house, whatever. So, but the core aspects of parenting, we don't have them things there like parents stand up and make their children do certain type of things and make sure that they do it. We don't have them things there. And the way that society is designed, especially in countries like England and America and France and all them European countries, yeah, man, the child run things, man. They make 2 complaints and home, family and thing, home thing, take them out. Take them out. Why are you not fit to be a parent, man? The state can pay the rent. That's all they did. They pay the rent. So our children are not really cultured in that aspect of respecting the elders. That is not there at all. So it is important that as a people, we check for them things. We check for the elders. So if it is that we have nurses who have given 30 years of their life to the existence of being a nurse, they're supposed to have some kind of a council of elders, nurse. Well, that's how idealistically, how I see that the thing's going is this, that all these retired people in their profession supposed to form some kind of council, some kind of Can you see it? I can see it, yeah. Elders and people of great knowledge and wisdom and understanding because they've gone through this thing there for over 40 years. And they're sitting down and they're discussing and they're helping the youngsters put in policy to see how the thing runs. You don't just put them on the shelf because the elders know the way and the youth have the strength. You understand? So everything that the elders have been doing is just stop, cut short, bang, 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 boom, and the youth come and run and wrecking everything because they don't have the blessing and the guidance of the elders. That's it. So enough of our people today that you see, yeah, man, enough. I'm talking about people in positions of leadership. You understand? So the elders, the people who actually went before, how many times are they consulted? How many times do people seek for their counsel? Because they have a certain amount of experience that could actually benefit everything, make everything better. So you have to understand these things there because at the end of the day, if it is that we don't respect these core principles, these foundational principles, and find ways that we actually put that within our society, so I expect things gonna change, right? So the change that actually comes like now when you begin instituting the principles of respect in your children. Just teach your children, man. They'll teach your children. And after a couple of generations, you're going to see things change, man. But if you're just there and you're not doing anything, what do you expect to happen? It is important. So it's not abracadabra whereby you expect that and just complaining. The way that we culturing our children now, we do not teach them to appreciate, love, and honor and respect the elders. So a young man, you'll see a young man just cursing an elder man, but you never see them things happen. I mean, I don't know for somebody else, but I never was actually brought up like that. I wasn't raised, I was brought up, yeah. Right? Like I was taught differently, man. You never curse an elder. Don't do that, man. God, say you could do that now, man. So at the end of the day, that is why the majority of the retired of everything just sitting down there and doing nothing. When all the knowledge and all the expertise and everything just sit down in a cupboard, rotting away, and they just begin to, when their expertise could be utilized. Because I mean, if you spend 40 years doing something, brother, if you have nothing to offer after that 40 years, you yourself, you're supposed to be. Come on, 40 years you're doing something, and after 40 years, you cannot come and offer assistance in some type of a way and counsel and help to guide someone younger than you, and you waste that time, man. Yeah, you're supposed to do something. They're just there sitting down. No. So the elders have to be placed into particular positions. And you have to do this thing. That's the only way that society, because they cannot just allow young people just to make certain decisions and then the elders don't really sit down on a decision. All right, so you need in every aspect of our society, we must have people who have gone through that portfolio for a period of time, and they were exemplary people. They did the work very well. There's supposed to be a way whereby that knowledge and that wisdom could be actually given back, right? Given to the young people coming up. But our society is not like that. It packed them on a shelf. Give thanks, Honorable Goddess, Itopia Uhuru, love, Dominic Flowers, blessed love, Honorable Mike D, blessed love, give thanks, Julio Good Day, Michelle Mac Dogard, blessings, Rastafari, love and light. Lana Mela, the elders paved the way for us, of course. Black Tiger, up. Louis Allen, blessed love, honorable. Welcome. So give thanks for all those of you who are with us live on Calabash Television in St. Lucia, and also those people who are with us live on Facebook. You know, so that is what I believe would be a key thing. As I say, we do have a brother that's supposed to be coming with us, honoring the message, honorable. Yes, Dominic, give thanks. I think that's the physical stuff. You know, there are plenty different type of spiritual things that can happen. So as I mentioned his name, I say, yeah, I respect a brother. Ring, he rings and that's it. So sorry about that, YouTube people. I got a phone call that actually cut off the feed. I'm very sorry about that. And sorry about also my people in St. Lucia for that. Pardon me, please. Right? So I'm saying that look, let us love our elders. Let us honor them. Let us put them into a position of honor and respect. And let's see how as a society we could work towards uplifting ourselves through that whole aspect of listening to what the elders really have to say. You know, so definitely give thanks. As I say, Aaron is here, my Ras Aaron. Yeah, he's here. See, I'm reading it now. I'm telling you, as I say, he call and thing, you know, live on TV. So you see, it's frequency. As frequency happens, things just happen. Yes, so we'll take a little intercession and just to bring him on, and afterwards, you know, we'll continue and we'll take an intercession on our YouTube also. So give thanks for that. Jah Rastafari. Bless you. Yes, I have to reset my camera, YouTube, right? So I have to reset my give thanks honorable from DMV. Just in a little intercession as we have a brother coming in to speak with us. So I'm just gonna shift the camera, put it on a different side, and then we're gonna continue. You know that we have an organic program. Our vibe is just organic. Okay, so I'm just gonna fix up the camera.
Banana farmers, remember me? I destroyed the Gromishel banana variety some years ago. Now my cousin, Tropical Race 4 OTR, is on the horizon in a more aggressive form and can wipe out the banana industry in a flash. Be vigilant. Don't bring any banana plants or plant tissue into the island.
And the lions then.
Thanks, man.
Yes,
Banana plots to the
Blessed,
Department
right?
of Agriculture.
Let me just use that's okay.
5600 or the extension officer in your area.
I'll put that right there.
Protect our vital banana industry.
Is your hurricane emergency kit ready? If you need to evacuate quickly, you will need originals or certified copies of your NIS insurance card, health passport, national ID card, prescriptions, and other important health documents kept safe in waterproof Ziploc bags. Toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, sanitary, and other basic hygiene items. First aid kit, your prescription medications and supplies for chronic conditions. This is especially important for individuals living with chronic conditions like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and cancer. Be ready. Stay ready.
This message brought to you courtesy the Bureau of Health Education of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Somebody on Aron Aisha.
Aaron is here.
As
As I mentioned your name, I say, oh, we're about to have a guest tonight.
Aaron, just move to your left on it.
So who that type that there for you?
I type it.
Oh, you.
I type it in a hurry.
Okay.
I was doing a couple of things at the same time.
Okay. You know, I call Empress and she tell me well. Yeah.
Boutique, changer, distance sociale, sistier, ordionalot. I ka travay tan, si ou santi ko pa kobyal, quarantine ko,
I don't have my mic today, so I'm just concerned about my audio for my live stream.
exposé. C'est un écuyer, 311 open n'importe clinique qui est au les pays à diminuer à clé. Ça veut dire, les supermarchés, pharmacies et puis ATM, yo accessible avant c'était fait. Pays à clé en plein, ça veut dire tout bagaille fait.
Yes, YouTube, we're on an intercession and we know we're going to come in with our brother Aron Alexander. We're talking by YouTube people.
Okay.
Éducation
Yeah.
santé.
So
Nous
they
tous
live.
ensemble,
Yeah, so
ça sauver vers mine corona. Si nous tous servis Jid là à toutes les
God bless.
Where they go, we try to organize a national kind of session for all Rastafari. Just let them share their views on ICANN, what they see ICANN give them ICANN doing is good enough for them. Let them see ICANN focusing on them like
Well, we give thanks for life and a mighty life giver, and we give thanks for all good things. Give thanks as we come forward again, and give thanks for our YouTube people. Give thanks, Lon, checking in from DMV. Give thanks, following Enzima Pepe. Give thanks, Honorable. So, we spoke of the whole aspect of the importance of not putting our retired people on the shelf. Okay, so I believe that fundamentally, that in every field of profession, from the nurses to the teachers to the police officers, the firefighters, when you have had people who have actually contributed in an exemplary manner to society, in whatever portfolio that they hold, when they turn 55 and 60 and they retire, you don't just pack them on the shelf. You create a specific council. I know they call it the Council of Elders in Rastafari. And then you allow these people there to give guidance to the youth, because as I said, the elders know the way, but the youth have the strength. Right? So give thanks as we do have a brother here with us, and the remainder of the program, about 40 minutes or so, we're going to spend in discussion with Honorable Brother Aron Alexander, the chairman of ICA himself, and also captain. I know you as a captain because we've had an adventure. We've had a movie on that one day. Right, so I'll tell you, when we, after the Dominica hurricane,
yes, but
we did go up into Dominica and bring some food for the Rasta people, and
that's right.
because of the good vibes. And I came forward on my own day, and yeah, it's a beautiful story. We'll make a movie, man.
Yeah, I think so.
So give thanks. I know that definitely give thanks, Honorable, for, and must congratulate you for actually coming in again at the helms, and being the chairman of ICA again, which is the Iron Council of the Advancement of Rastafari. I know that definitely the history, because I know there was a point where everything was bright and shiny and sparkling, and then things went a little way, and now I can say that I'm seeing, like yourself and even other members of the executive in the media more often, so the visibility that ICA was showing in public, and I say, well, yes, you can see that is actually coming forward, and I must admit that is under your administration. So I give thanks for that injection and commentaries that you guys always come and make, and the contribution that you guys do when it comes to the whole aspect of addressing certain things, a lot of different type of things that you guys address, all types of ways. So give thanks for that, Honorable, and I know that there was also history of different things that has manifested, and I expect that you have got closure, or you bring out formal documents, you understand? Whereby you could have specific and official closure of certain things, but the moving forward is nice and smooth. I see you doing a great job, so keep it up, Honorable. So I know that we are having some activities. You did have your emancipation there, and you're black, you You part of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes, yes. Part of the committee, because as you know, it's not a registered entity per se, it's just a group of us seeing the need and necessity of having such a movement in St. Lucia. So we are part of the committee.
No, give thanks.
It's a pleasure for me to be here, and thank you for the invitation, my brethren. And Honorable Priest, you have been definitely one of those pillars in the Rastafari community, especially when it comes to the health of the Rastafari nation, which is, health is the greatest wealth we can actually have as a human being. So your contribution to the Rastafari community is well respected and well known throughout, and that is why even within ICA, we see it always fit to have dialogue with you on different issues as well, and to ensure that we work together on different levels. So as you indicated, ICA did go through a very rough patch for about 7 to 8 years. The organization have not been so active as it used to be. And from June last year, June the 23rd, we had a biannual general meeting, and the members decided that it's time that I get back on that board, And I thank the members immensely for their, confidence in me again to lead the organization, and I'm set on that path. I'm not turn back, and I continue to do whatever I can for as long as I can, whatever way I can to give the Rastafari community good representation. And my executive with me, very strongly supporting me as well. I mean, as anything else, some of the vestiges of what had gone on before, some people still try every now and then try to make that creep up amongst us, but the members have stumped that out. Everything was audited, the organization basically was given a clean bill of health when it comes to all the controversy. Everything was audited and so on, and it revealed quite the contrary of what some people were trying to say about the organization. And I think we've had 8 years of all this dragging in the mud, and the members are finally seeing the light in ensuring that they put a strong executive together again if we had the help. And I'm hoping not to disappoint the members as I did not disappoint them before. Because as we all know, sometimes some of our black leaders, they all crumble with rumor, propaganda, and infiltration of persons that may look like them but not necessarily have the heart to be in the movement and betray them at the end of the day. I mean, we saw that go through many of our black leaders, and our Rastafari movement was no different. So we had that amongst us, and hopefully that we put these things behind us and we move forward.
That was my exact conversation. Driving, coming from the mountain for staff member.
Wow.
Exact thing I said about Jesus, man. I mean, nobody stand up for Jesus,
Yes,
they look at that's what they call Co-Intel Pro. So the J. Edgar Hoover, Marcus Garvey, so
yes.
At the end of the day, every any organization that is actually organized for the upliftment of people, of black people in particular, and human beings in general, all right? Because it is equal rights for everyone, right? So at the end of the day, any organization, you have people that come and they infiltrate, and that was my exact words, and then they just be there all by themselves at the end. That's why you see the work I do, I really am like a loner, I don't, if anyone give me a strength, I say give thanks. But because I look at through history,
yes,
right, and I see, well,
you learn from that.
yeah, but Sankara, his own brethren not kill him, right? Judas was right next there to Christ. You understand? Marcus Garvey, best fella that sell him out.
Yes.
Best.
Yes. And I can tell you, the day that he was brought to court, he passed by the, when he was on his way to the courtroom, he passed and he see the brothers outside and he shake their hand and tell them, they're going to be victorious today and not even realizing that these same men will testify against him. Why? It's amazing, and the sad part is that we, black people generally, we see those examples of how our leaders were brought down, and some of us still continue that cycle. We don't realize that we're just being used, over and over again, and the cycle continues, and we sell out our people and we betray them and we testify against them, instead of giving them strength. Because black people, the damage that was done to us through that transatlantic slave trade is so great. And I actually have a document there, the Willenage document, the Let's Make a Slave, and that is exactly how we black people have been conditioned to be like crabs in a barrel, to tear down each other. Instead of seeing the good in a man, we quick to always see the bad and criticize him and try to tear him down instead of, uplifting him, man, And that has been our history of our leaders.
A downfall.
Yeah, man.
But also the uprising, because you see, out of the necessity for a man, because that's how a leader is born. You know, that's why that's how you know, well, even if no one stands up for it, I'm gonna stand up for it no matter what, and you do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? I said the
Very
cheese stands alone.
Very true.
You
very
understand?
true,
So
my
it is
brother.
very important that at the place that we are right now in history, in prophecy, in the present, and moving forward in the future. I was on a program today where they were talking about the whole realms of like court ruling when it came to the little princess with locks in Jamaica.
Right.
And the judgment in Jamaica was that, and it was a very they're not Rastafari,
Mm.
the family. They're just parents with their children with locks on their head.
Mm.
And the judge ruled that the school have a right because locks does things lies and all and even everything. In this day and age, you know.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So that type of prejudice, but it shows also that we St. Lucia we far ahead, you know. Where that's talking about Jamaica, but
Right.
these things that can't happen
In St. Lucia. And you know, I heard that ruling came on the eve of emancipation.
Yeah, madness.
That was troubling, man. You know, to see a learned judge would render a decision like this,
that,
man,
yeah.
this time.
This time.
And like you say, in a place like Jamaica.
yeah.
And you know, I heard the voices because like this camera lady went out to the streets and get the views of people, and 95% of the people were saying they disagree with that, you know.
Yeah, man.
So, you know, we've seen there's still a level of consciousness within the people, and for you to see that kind of systemic kind of discrimination and racism thing continuing in a land like Jamaica, man, that was troubling, very troubling, man. And I'm hoping that people rise up and realize, you know, these things cannot stand in this day and age. And even here in St. Lucia, like you say, you know, we far ahead, you know, in terms of these things that you can't get a kind of ruling like that in St. Lucia.
No. So you have to give thanks too for the level of overstanding. That's not the work of the ancestors, our elders, you know, and also, I mean, because the judges really are preying on the police,
Yes,
and the
yes,
lawyer. I mean,
yes.
it's the same relative.
Yes.
If you trace everybody back to the same man, the same person.
Yes, my brother.
You know, so moving from that, as you talk about what we really went through, I mean, that emancipation movement, you have another activity coming up for August, Marcus Garvey.
Yes, Marcus Garvey time coming up. But you know, before I touch on that, I just want to say that we fought together to gain our freedom from slavery. And we got the Emancipation Proclamation and all those things. And after that, being Rastafari, we still had to fight another war to be accepted as a black man and being a Rastafari. So yes, we all banded together and we fought for liberation and we fought for emancipation. And even after we got that victory now, Rastafari going back to nature and being a natural man with his dreadlocks and so on, we had to fight against our own people now for them to accept us, you know, as Rastafari. So, you know, that just goes to show the different levels of struggles that we have to go through as a people. And coming right into Marcus Garvey, and Marcus Garvey now coming at a very pivotal time for black people, when black people were still considered to be cattle, you know, property, you know, and Marcus Garvey starting such a movement to show black people, well, look, we are people that have a glorious past, because sometimes we tend to think of black people history as just within the slave trade context. But like certain scholars have stated before, slavery was really an interruption of black history, because what were we before slaves? It's true not all of us were kings and queens, but we did not live under such oppressive system of inhumane treatment of that whole slave trade system. Because black people, yes, there were certain levels of slavery within Africa itself, but it was not on that set level of exploitation for economic benefit and so on for another continent to benefit. So when we look at the whole slave trade thing and the coming of men like Marcus Garvey to raise our head, because even earlier when I talk about the Let's Make a Slave, the document by William Lynch, and William Lynch said that this thing could only be interrupted by some kind of phenomenon that would happen where probably God himself have to intervene. And we saw Marcus Garvey come in and intervene to try to break that cycle, to show black people our value and to show us, well, let us stop fighting against each other, stop living in that crabs in a barrel mentality. So Marcus Garvey did his best to ensure that that cycle was broken, because William Lynch said the way he was conditioning black people into slavery, that's going to last for probably 1,000 years.
Yeah, but
You know?
that judgment in Jamaica, man, that's some real.
Yeah, and you see that 400 years later, we're still getting this kind of judgment.
Yeah, man.
So that really goes to show that some people still have not risen above that level of discrimination against their own people.
Yeah.
So Marcus Garvey interrupted that and showed us a better way, and told black people, they have to look within themselves and realize we have to do for ourselves. Yes, as much as we went through the transatlantic slave trade, but at the end of the day, we ourselves have to have our destiny in our hands. And Marcus Garvey believed, as we all know, in the whole concept of repatriation. People who want to return, because if a people was stolen from their homeland, you have a moral obligation to return those people. So even if the 10-point CARICOM plan and all these things, and through the intervention of Rastafari and people like you, Brother Kilash, who insist on that they have to put repatriation as part of the agenda, and it's because of your insistence and your representation at certain of those meetings of CARICOM heads that this thing was put on the agenda too, as reparation being part of the 10-point plan. So, when we have people representing us on this kind of level, we see the works of Garvey continue, and it manifests within us that we have the touch now. The baton has been passed to us to continue that struggle, because the struggle is not done. We still have a long ways to go, and some time ago, some talk show host was saying that, we've gotten our reparations. Look up all the roads that the European Union and England have built for us, and the schools they have built for us, and so on. So like reparations is paid. And it just goes to show the mentality of some of us who we could still consider that some of our people are still selling out, for you to make a declaration like that. When you look at, we don't even have a state-of-the-art healthcare facility in this country. We're looking at halls of justice for our country. We cannot get justice in this country. There's no proper building to house the courts. So we have a lot of things that needs to be done for our country that we cannot say that reparations is paid, because reparations, as we know, is not only in a dollar value, but it's in building institutions to strengthen us. We don't even have a university here. For tertiary education, our children have to venture out there paying thousands of dollars. Why can't we have a university here? So we've seen, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to education, when it comes to our justice system, there's so much that needs to be done, and all that have to be part of the conversation when it comes to reparations. A developmental planning, so to speak, because we got independence, we did not get no reparations package with that. So John just accepted independence because, again, through the short-sightedness of some of our politicians, that they really just wanted to run the country how they wanted to run it. They never really fought the fight for reparations, and we will consider that was a real sellout for us. That is why even in Martinique right now, the Martinicans said they don't want independence from France. France owes them, and France have to take care of them and their children and their grandchildren until they die, because that's a debt France owed to Martinique. But we never adopted that posture here in St. Lucia. We just accepted independence, and we all know that the colonies that Britain owned, they were becoming a financial burden on Britain. So Britain was trying their best to try to get rid of us fast before we start demanding certain things. Even some people will tell you, those of us who were born prior to 1979 independence, that we're supposed to be carrying a British passport.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So all these things there, and you're not hearing the leaders talking about these things. You're not hearing no cases being put forward on this kind of level. So really and truly, when we talk about leaders selling us out and all these things, it really, you could have, the evidence is there to prove those things. And Marcus Garvey is one of those leaders who stood up and said, no, he's not going to sell out, and he's going to continue fighting that fight for black people.
Well, my view on the whole aspect of, for me right now, it's not a time whereby I will not protest like to have my child go into a public school, right? As a Rastafari, I'm just telling you, I personally, all right, I will not. It's that if a Rastaman chooses to allow a child to go, it's a fundamental human right. That child cannot be deprived of an education based upon any of her beliefs. That's international law, which is the Charter of Human Rights, right? That has to be abided by. So, but as a Rastafari, because you see, that's how you say Marcus Garvey, because Marcus Garvey was a separationist. Martin Luther King was an integrationist, if that's a word. So, I would say, well, yeah, we really have to work towards the separation from Babylon, literally. Let's say, well, instead of agitating to get Rastaman in school, give us our money, man, let's build our own school. Because this, I know that they used to give the SD $1 million every year, you know, man.
Wow.
Subventions.
From government.
From government. Right? After the Jimmy raid and how much Rastaman they shoot, you know, how many children were deprived of an education because they had locks. All them struggles that people used to go before. I mean, we're not supposed to be. I personally, right? I homeschool my children personally, right? And for Rastafari to be in a position whereby they have to give their children to the open, because remember, if you send your child to a Catholic school, what are they going to become?
Yeah, you cannot let your children go and be educated by the people themselves who enslaved you.
No. So how is it now that I would think that as part of the agenda that you all have moving, and that should be moving forward,
yes, man. Yes,
is a push for that, because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be as an organization, right? And also as an organization or a group of people that were oppressed, and you could even say attempted genocide.
Yes.
I mean, all throughout the Caribbean.
Yes, man.
Right. So I would think that these things that are things that are supposed to be on the forefront of our agenda, not just to be able to integrate. That stage pass already. Right. Right now it is. How is it that Rastafari could be? Right now the ruling came in and they say, well, no, and marijuana, they're going to, back the framework towards decriminalization. That means that a policeman can smoke now,
Yes, because once it's legal, of course, there's no more say, because that is one of the things that was used against the Rasta community, the fact that cannabis was criminalized, the whole Rastafari liberty was criminalized by that. So it's like Rastafari is a criminal because of the use of the herb. So, but even coming back to the point about the school, that is why even in Antigua, Gaston Brown just opened a school for the Rastafari community to educate the children in African history and African knowledge and so on, alongside the other usual maths and English, etc., So that is very important for us to be able to educate our children, in that sort of a way. Because at one time, even we were making representation to the Ministry of Education to ask them to, put more African histories within the school, because as much as we as Rastafari, we clamoring to get our own, but we must never forget the masses of the people that need the knowledge as well. And you will find some of them might be inclined to send their children to the Rasta school, just the same. So we must always try to keep that pressure on the system to ensure that in the general school environment that they inculcate some more of the African history within the normal school curriculum and so on. So as an organization, as ICA, we have to agitate to get our own and get our school and so on, much in the same way that Antigua has a Rastafari school right now. So that have to be part of our developmental program and having this thing on our front burner to get our own school. I totally agree with that, my brother.
Well, I have not seen that as an organization, as a group of people that there has been anything specifically done. I mean, I don't think that as a community, personally for me, like for my personal views, and I just live in that reality, right? Nothing we're supposed to be exempted from, right? Because of just, if you really understand what people actually went through because they had the locks. That's why even in the ruling, if the non-Rasta family in Jamaica thing, still it's I say, well, so now you'll understand what Rasta man really was.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because you
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, man.
Because
Yeah, man.
now it's a style and people
Yes,
want to
yes.
use it and thing and
Exactly. So they're
yeah.
fighting for it now.
Now they're fighting for it
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
And I'm there saying, well,
Yeah.
I don't even have to talk about it anymore.
But you know that is something that we seen manifesting. I remember back in the 80s, I saw a video with Bob Marley, and Bob Marley said that Rasta is the future. And some of the things that Rasta have been fighting for decades now is these are the things coming to the fore right now that even the politicians jumping on it. For example, the reparations move. We see the politicians now almost want to put Rasta in the back seat and pretend as if they were the ones always fighting for reparations. And at this and at the time Rasta was talking about those things, we'll say Rasta mad, that'll never happen, we'll never see these things happen. When Rasta, especially Peter Tosh and so on, would say legalize the herb and so on, people would say that'll never happen. And you know, we see these things coming to the fore. Even the vegetarian lifestyle and to some extent, even well, to a further extent, the vegan lifestyle. People are seeing the necessity for these things now because doctors sending people and eat that now. You know, so a lot of things that Rasta have been talking about for a long time. Now we're seeing that is what is happening. That's what's coming to the fore. So when Bob Marley said over 30 years ago, Bob Marley said Rastafari was the future, people would laugh at him. But look it now. Look it now. There's certain part in the scripture that tell you every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess. So it is happening now on that level.
Still not a bill
Refuse. Yes, I am. So I mean, the other step is for the society or one day to hear politicians themselves have to declare, well, the Rastaman God is the real God, just like Nebuchadnezzar and them man in Babylon. When them man see Daniel and all them prophets, they come forward and manifest certain things. They have to confess the God of Daniel is the real God.
Yeah,
so it's just coming in a time where them might just have to, whether they'll want it or not, but it have to come out of their mouth and declare, the Marcus Garvey is a prophet for true. And Haile Selassie is the Almighty, and Prince Emmanuel is the Black Christ. These things might just come out of these politicians' mouth because the time coming for that. They can't hold that back no more.
Well, I mean, fundamentally, I mean, the people, the knowing people know. It's not like they don't know. It's just that they won't proclaim it.
No.
Yeah, because
but but it will be forced out of them. I believe it will be forced out of them at some point, my brother. Because they'll just have to come out and blurt it out. They have to. It's just a matter of time. Because the amount of people that dead and gone and they never saw cannabis legalized in any country.
Yeah, man.
And for them that would never happen. And we are seeing it. We are being witness to it. Yeah, man. So in this time there, and the works of Garvey must come to fulfillment. And we know Garvey month is always a month where sometimes you have some weather disturbances coming forward. Is like Garvey say, look for him in the whirlwind.
Yeah, man.
Look for him in the storm.
Yeah, man.
Because he shall come forward and aid us in our struggle and bring the souls of 4 million ancestors who were sacrificed and killed within the transatlantic slave trade to bring them to aid us in our struggle. And we see now in all cities there what this Black Lives Matter thing, millions of people rising up all over the globe right now, demanding their rights and demanding, justice and all this kind of thing. So we see the spirit of these men still live because that was Garvey. Garvey used to organize protests and to march against injustice, and Martin Luther King and all these men used to organize these things, and we see it still happening. So whenever these things are still happening within a society or within nations, we're realizing that the works of these men continue. And we are as instruments now, and we have the baton. All we could do is to continue to use Garvey phrase, to continue to grease that wheel of progress, towards, total liberation. So in celebrating Garvey 143rd anniversary of his birth, this month there, we within the Rastafari community, we organized to have like a Marcus Garvey Market Day at the Castries Market because we know Garvey always supported self-reliance and we doing for ourselves. In one of his speeches, he said that we are people determined to suffer no longer. So we have to rise up and accomplish what we will. So we having a market day on the 15th, that Saturday coming at the Castries Market. We have applied to the CCC office to get some assistance with getting some tents and so on for the Garvey Market Day. Well decorated up, Garvey vibes all around, and literature as well. All our African history books and so on will be on display. Have a nice exhibition of Garvey works and so on for the general public to take it in. We'll have cooked food, raw food on sale as well, and we want to feed the people's stomach and also feed their minds, you know. So we have these two components for the market day. And of course, on the Monday, the 17th, which is the actual day of his birthday, we'll have a march within a rally within the Denier Riviere area. And just today, we met with the parish priest down there, Father Raj. Thank you very much, Father Raj, for all your assistance today, because, you know, they allowed us to use the complex down there, the Larishu school area, you know, the whole yard there, you know. So it makes things a lot easier for us in terms of logistics of bringing tents down there, etc. That eliminates all these things. So Father Raj, we met with him there today, and he assisted us greatly. And, you know, so we're going to have that march in the Denier Riviere area, you know, solidarity messages, a few performances by a few artists and so on. You know, we, as you know, my brother, I believe the Rasta community is probably one of the forerunners in terms of actually ensuring that Garvey's spirit stays alive, and the acknowledgement of Garvey. And I'm sure you could remember in times gone by when the Honorable Stephenson King, you know, was then Prime Minister, gave tremendous support to Marcus Garvey activities, you know. There's a lot of blessing for Brother King, you know. I tell you that, you know, because no Prime Minister never in history of St. Lucia take on such things to assist the Rastafari community, you know, man. So Mr. King, you know, I bless you, man, for all your good works you did in the Rasta community. I bless you for that. I don't know with this current administration, yes, it's a UWP administration, but I'm not sure how friendly they are towards Marcus Garvey and, you know, black liberation activities in this time. As a matter of fact, we just penned a letter to the Prime Minister.
Okay.
So we're going to be meeting with the Prime Minister to see where his heart is at when it comes to activities like this, you know, and, you know, the upliftment of the African descendants persons, as we know, 90%, 95% of us in this country, African descendants. So we'll be meeting with the Honorable Prime Minister very soon, and with Mr. King still part of the cabinet, I'm hoping that, you know, that spirit of support will still dwell within the cabinet, because we still have brothers like Spider Montooth and Ezekiel, and all of them are still there, and they were part of the administration at the time with Mr. King as Prime Minister. So that was a blessing for Mr. King and his cabinet, man. I'll tell you that, my brother. No Prime Minister, not Kenny, not Compton, no Prime Minister never give the Rastafari community such support. And you know, Mr. King have the black hat. He's a black hat, man. I tell you that, my brother. And every time I see him or I call him or we talk, I always give him his ratings for that, man. Yeah, man. Bless him, Mr. King. Bless him, man. Yeah, and you could testify. you could testify too.
I'm just saying that election coming just now, and okay, a nice plug again there.
Well, I mean, I just be real, you know. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, well, I can be real too.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a man that, when it comes to he tries. He tries very hard.
He listens,
and
man.
Then not just like, he's not a man where I would say that our relationship was far more like than just his Prime Minister. And, you know, it was more like a brotherhood, brotherly love vibe that we had with him, where he's a man who used to sit down and to reason and listen to what you have to say.
Yes,
you know,
he's a good listener, man.
Yes,
and he would actually show up at the activities, you know.
And
he would not send anybody to represent him. He would come himself. And when we tell him, I remember one time he was in a Marcus Garvey celebration, and we say, well, you know, we'll put you a little earlier because we know you're busy, you might have to go and do other things. And he said, no, man, I'm there with you all for the day, man. Wherever y'all put me, I'm quite comfortable with that. And he's taking the vibes, you know. Man. And I could remember him attending our events on about 2 or 3 occasions. You know, now, again, in giving some kudos to Dr. Kenny Anthony in 97 when he came in, we had a conference in Black Bay in 99, I believe. And Dr. Kenny Anthony was then 2 years in as Prime Minister, just came in as Prime Minister, and he attended that session as well. And he addressed us. But in terms of really giving real serious support to the Rastafari community, that was very lacking on Dr. Kenny Anthony part. I'll tell you that straight, you know, because I'm a real man. And like you say, I live in that reality, you know, and I'm a real man, you know. So I think in all the Prime Ministers, Mr. King have been the friendliest to the Rasta community.
Give thanks, man. Give thanks. So I mean, well, definitely, you know that we are right now in I'm not that political energy vibes, you know. So definitely there are plenty of things that moving forward as a community, even when it comes to the whole aspect of the decriminalization of cannabis. For me personally, and I say that a lot, like personally, because everyone has a right to their views.
Personal view, yes.
My views are personal to me.
I see it.
You know, yeah. So yes, I'm a Rastafari.
I'll have to distinguish because I'm here representing the council. So I'm speaking as the president of the council. But then sometimes I have to differentiate or deviate and say, well, okay, on this particular point, I'm speaking personally. I'm not speaking, this is not the general view of the council.
Well, my personal view is that as Rastafari, you know, our whole, when it comes to the whole aspect of the decriminalization of cannabis, we've seen all the different countries. We've seen what they've done, and Antigua really tried, okay, but where Antigua really fell short, because I went to present to the Honorable Prime Minister Gaston Brown and his cabinet, you know.
See,
right?
Yeah.
Well, they invited me to present to them, and I already had about 7 medical cannabis products, right? I spoke to them about, they can buy some, right? And then also I presented them for plan, same day, all Whoopi Gold with all the people that were there. You know?
Wow. Tyson was there too, man.
Tyson came way after that.
Okay.
That's like in the, before everything was, the laws and everything were written and them type of things. So, yeah, and then it was very good vibes. Right? So then I'm saying, well, look, the same plan that I had for, because I could have been there, I could have been doing something. That's what I wanted to do. Of course, I know how to push myself, do my vibes and do something and get my vibes, because my plan for cannabis is different than any other plan outside there. My views on things are always, I have unique views, that's just me, personally. Right, so here now, I expect to see that when it comes to the economics aspect, because I'm not really interested in being able to plant free trees, you know. I'm not interested in that. And I don't want to be part of that discussion. Talking about 300,000 trees.
Yeah, man.
You know, and 500,000 trees,
man.
right? And also being the forerunners, the people who are fundamentally being persecuted over that period of time, and it's an opportunity whereby we could set an example in the world.
Right.
Because remember, just herb plant by Rastafari itself is a brand in its own self. Right? So I see that the Rastafari livity supposed to be in a category all by itself. Not whatever is for the Rastaman. Nobody else, nah, Virgin. Okay, man. You never go through nothing for that. Just take it easy there. Right? So that's what the Rastafari gets. And I see that as licenses. You know, licenses being granted to people within the Rastafari community that demonstrate that capacity to manage. And as long as you are a man, I'm not saying that, you know, as long as you are a man that can manage industry and this and that. Because remember, license will be all $500,000, $1 million. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to,
yeah, but
everywhere, when you check all these countries.
Yeah, I mean, from the discussions that I've been a part of, I mean, we've not gone that level, you know, and like you talk about even earlier, there are certain things that Rastafari have to be exempt from.
We get in there.
So, yeah, and that is why even earlier, before we went on air, I mentioned to you that there is need for a dialogue within the Rastafari organizations and mansions in St. Lucia. And, you know, expect some sort of a letter very soon from your end, because this kind of conversations we have in here, you know, this kind of unique views that you express in here, we want that to be expressed within a Rastafari setting where we could now set our agenda, so to speak. So it would not be that ICA as an entity will just go and say blah, 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 but it will be a consensus within the Rasta community. So this is our Rasta position.
Yeah, man.
So this is very much needed. So just today I was speaking to my assistant communication officer, Brother Vision from Deriso, Aron Francis, and you know, we're having those discussions. There's a need for us, the mansion of Rastafari. Big up yourself, Vision.
I still love Rastafari. So we
Sorry,
need to
man.
have that kind of conversation within the Rastafari community. So you're absolutely right, my brother. And you know, the mansions of Rastafari, very soon they'll be getting letters from ICAP for us to have sort of that sort of discussion to come up with that Rastafari position when it comes to the herb. Because and you know, I must say, coming from the Honorable Bradley Felix, and even I heard the leader of the opposition, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, stating quite clearly that it must be that the persons who've suffered the most have to be the ones to benefit the most from this whole industry, this whole cannabis industry. So what you're saying there falls directly in line with that kind of a thinking. So I bless you for that reasoning, and I tell you, my brother, we're gonna have that discussion and come up with the Rasta position, which will be and must be that unique position, my brother, because we've suffered the most, so we have to benefit the most from such an industry.
Well, I'm very see certain things I didn't beg for, like my whole meditation. I just operate different, you know. Now it might look simple, you know, like certain things just happen very simple, and then because you're not a spiritual being, because remember, you know, there are spiritual beings, you know, and that operate in a spiritual realms. I said just before you came, I mentioned your name, and you ring the phone. Okay, that was on national television, you know.
See,
I said, yeah, I have a brother. I say, and then the phone rang, ting, 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 ting. I said, well, must be I said, okay, I have a guest here and a thing. So I said, oh my, sorry about that. It must be my guest
See.
ringing saying that he's there, and the man writing the thing. Oh, Aaron is there. So I mean, that was an opportunity that people could have seen live. That life is not just that physical, tangible symptom and sign that people actually think about. And Rastafari, in particular, have been literally standing up for these type of principles, our ancient core ancestral principles, and we have actually placed our lives on the line for many things. That's why when I spoke in St. Vincent and the Reparation conference, and the senator at that time was preventing me from speaking, I was not asking him permission to speak. I know I had my right for me to speak. So when he went and blah 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 and he stopped, I just fire my thing, because you can't stop me from expressing my views.
Yes, man.
You know, so certain things I personally as a man I don't tolerate, because I know well what we've been through already. Brethren, come on, man. Come on. I mean, in Dominica, you know, the police was given the authority to shoot and kill, you know, when they see Rasta, you know.
That's the Dread Act.
Yeah, Dread Act. And it's still there, right? I don't know if
It's still on the books?
Yeah, man, I was still on the books
Wow.
last time I was in Dominica. And you were there too,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, man.
So at the end of the day, when you really look at it and you check it out, there are police who tell you that the stories, you know, that they go in the hills and they shoot Rastaman and his whole family and bury them in the hills. That's in Dominica I'm talking about. And same thing in Jamaica, right? And that was done because the Rastafari was speaking about Africa, was smoking some herbs.
Speaking about the black god.
Yeah, speaking about the black god.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what happened. So then we have not even been issued, right? Let's say like I think probably did one of the prime ministers?
Yeah, Gaston Brown.
Yeah,
He did that.
Yeah, he offered an apology.
Heartfelt, man. That man.
Well, I mean, it's heartfelt, but right after they decriminalized and thing, and they still cut man plantation. That's why I'm saying that we have seen what because Gaston Brown does talk nice and thing, you know, because he's a politician. You understand? But them man, they're still are politicians. You understand? So I don't want St. Lucian politicians to make the mistake of Gaston Brown, you know? Because the mistake that the Honorable and them did, the Rastafari community did in Antigua, is that, you see, they partner with a Canadian company. That is one, and it's one Rastafari group set of man get thing. And they partner with a Canadian company, right? And then, and the partner with nobody. You know,
we have to safeguard against that.
You understand? So, and even if you partner, you know, they have to partner with technology.
Yep.
Like you want technology expertise, and then we, okay, all right, then we control our thing,
Yeah,
our
after a
products.
couple years or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
you go back
Yeah,
and we
man.
take over our thing.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
why, again, even earlier when we talk about having that dialogue among Rastafari, so we come up with a Rastafari position to avoid this kind of pitfalls where companies can come and, oh, take this one on the side and do something with them, or take that one on the side. We must guard against that. That's the same divide and rule kind of thing. So we have to guard against those things, my brother, and don't go down that road. Now, even when you talk about Gaston Brown there earlier, I mean, we hear in the government talking about putting a regulatory framework in place for the cannabis issue, and yet still arrests are still going on, incarceration still going on, eradications are still going on. So, it really goes to show, even they're putting up a challenge to the constitutional claim, the constitutional motion that we filed against the Attorney General. The Attorney General office is still putting up a defense against that. So I'm saying if the government is already going down that road to decriminalization or legalization, why put up a resistance or put up a claim or put up a defense to the claim that we filed, the constitutional claim we filed against the Attorney General? And why allow the police to still be arresting people for small quantities? And why send the police and continue the eradication? Why do all those things if we're already going down that road of decriminalization or legalization? Because if the process takes 3 to 4 months, that means when it's legalized or decriminalized, we have no product, because all along during them 3 to 4 months, the police are eradicating plantations. So now we have to go and start from scratch to build the plantations again. So, they should relax those things in the meantime. That would show some level of goodwill and tolerance, and good faith on the part of the government. So like you were saying there earlier, you don't want to see the government make the same mistake like Gaston Brown, where, okay, yes, they decriminalized, but at the same time, all these things were still going on, all these injustices were still going on. So we call in on the government to take those little steps in the meantime, in the interim, take these little steps to show some good faith.
You speak to them privately already?
No. That's why I tell you, we pen a letter to the Prime Minister, because all these issues we're going to bring to his attention.
But that's what the Bible tells you. You must speak to the man in private first.
Yes.
And if they don't do nothing for you,
Ah.
then you take it to the other set of people.
Okay.
And then if they still do nothing for you, then you take it to everybody.
Okay. Well, what we've done there's a saying that open rebuke is better than secret love. so now that we put them on notice, at least when we meet with them, we could come back afterwards and tell the nation, well, look, they rejected our position,
Why rejected? I don't think that
or they embrace our position.
Yeah, I feel that it's not really it is something that, because with different in St. Lucia is different. You understand? I don't think that we really have a problem. Why would no? I don't think that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, everything going to just roll smooth,
Yeah,
and
man, I
everything
believe
going to
so.
go nice
I believe so.
and smooth, and
It took us a while to get there,
Yeah,
but we're
yeah,
getting
yeah.
there, man.
Yeah.
I believe so too. I'm one of those that like to look at the glass, what they say, half full instead of half empty.
FULL. Well, definitely. These
Yeah,
things,
man.
I listened to, I heard in the news that I see certain type of things I heard. I saw groups of people coming up against cannabis and the Pentecostal association.
yeah.
I personally, certain these people, I don't really critique what certain people say, because they are not authorities on the subject. I'm a scientist. You understand? So if it's not a scientific paper that
Right.
somebody come and talk about, I say,
Yeah.
well, I'm not talking
Okay,
about
about
it. I don't want to wear these
Yeah.
people that, because what they say in there is just hearsay.
Yes, my
They have no
brother.
basis.
No.
And then
all.
they really believe, like, in this day and age, that people still have poo-poo in their head. And that you could tell a young person them type of thing.
Yes, and expect them to believe what you're talking about.
Yeah.
One of our PR actually said it. They believe it was a publicity stunt to try to show people, well, they're talking about something, so come and join our church. We'll see we talking about that. Come and join our church, that kind of thing. Because the government set up the commission, and they had a seat on the commission, and they were not involved in any of the consultations. They stayed away. We had months of consultations. That's what really troubling about these people, There was months of consultation, and they did not make themselves available at all. And now at the 11th hour, the minister come out and make a statement as to the position of the government, and now you're coming out and blah, 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 blah. I mean, come on, man. That's such hypocrisy. All the time you're in your closet, you're hiding, and now things moving forward, you'll want to come out, as if well you're coming out and try to criticize now. For what?
Well, it's good. At
You know,
least,
the Catholic Church supported the move. The Catholic Church said, well, look, it's time as long as they put the safeguards in place. Why not? Why not? And these same Pentecostal people who will be talking about Christ, the spirit of brotherhood, Christian brotherhood, and the need for us to respect each other. The guys go as far as asking us Rastafari to justify why we want to use in the scripture, justify we wanting to use cannabis as our sacrament. Where in the scripture it is they want us to justify.
well,
Can you believe that?
there are people for that for them. I mean, if they really want. Remember when Priest Isaac was there and giving them challenge?
Okay, they never take it. They never take it.
No, at the end of the day, it's just a level of ignorance within
Yes, my
our
brother.
society.
It's sad.
and,
It's
yeah.
sad, man.
It's all right. I think it's good.
Yeah.
It brings a bit of a if it is that you have no one like that, then you wouldn't even be addressing that because they have to come out because they have lots of doubt in people's head, and they are representative of a segment of the society.
But come to the consultation, because when you just call a press conference and you just declare your position, you against this or you're against that, there's nobody there to engage you and try to allay your fears, if your concerns, etc., etc. If they had come and be part of the consultation, the commissioners would have addressed them. But wait to just come out in a press conference, who you talking to now?
Yeah, but it's still okay
You
because there are people who are cowards, who really no, I'm saying, but there are enough people outside there in the community who really don't want to say what they're saying, and they're trying to get a little way to say what they want to say, and they try and sneak it out a kind of a way.
I guess, yeah, that's
So
true.
it's good. So at the end of the day, what happens is that these set of people, they are the mouthpiece of a segment of society that still view things like that. So then people will take care of them. They'll get the information because I'm sure the majority of the people going to that church
But you
where
think these people actually even probably take up the CARICOM report and actually gone through that? You think these people, sometimes, yes, I mean, maybe they're ignorant of the facts and this and that, but do some reading. There's a lot of material out there to educate yourself. I mean, the Caribbean Commission report, there are two reports, one from Permandu, one from this present commission, Michael Gordon. I mean, the information is there. Read and see, because some of the things that they're talking about, it is stated in the reports and clarity is given on those things. So if you'll read and you'll educate yourself about what is happening, you'll will realize most of your concerns have been addressed, and maybe if you'll put the recommendations, you'll recommend things, but don't just come out and say what you'll say there. You'll have no recommendation to say, oh, is that the best use of our 248 square miles of our island, of our land? Is that the best use? Why do we have to reduce ourselves to looking at marijuana as medicine? These are some of the things that guys were talking about, my brother.
But I won't even know. This is okay. Like in the age that we are in right now, we don't even have to. They'll be taken care of, man.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I think so, killer. I hope to God that they get taken care of.
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
in the name of God, I hope they get taken care
yeah,
of.
but yeah, man, they'll get to the senses. People all get to the senses, no matter what.
Truly, my brother.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the great majority of those that saying what they say now, they were not saying that before.
True.
So they'll come
knowledge increase.
Knowledge increase.
Yes, my brother.
Because I say, that they represent a big segment of society, So even that, because every criticism is good. It might say that probably you're supposed to have public readings of the findings of all these things. They read it.
But one thing, not to cut you short, but one thing I have not gotten to the bottom of yet. Has the government or the Minister Bradley Felix made the report public? I think, if that has not been done, I think I want to make that call to the minister to make the report public. So it's public knowledge and have this kind of public readings as you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Because plenty of other things. I know our time is actually moving on, but also I think that there are plenty things that's very important when it comes to the whole aspect of the decriminalization. Because as I said, they are decriminalizing, not legalizing. They put it like alcohol. Alcohol is decriminalized. Alcohol not legal, Alcohol is decriminalized. You must have a license to sell it.
Correct.
Right? So So cannabis would basically be operated on that same kind of principle, whereby you have a license to sell it. You understand? You have a license to think it, and you could have that a month. You understand?
Yes,
So
yes.
probably at your home you could have, same way you could have 2 bottles of wine and you have your wine there and thing, but you can't sell it to so and so and so and so.
Right.
Same kind of principle.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
right?
The same things have
Yeah.
to govern it. You know, another thing is that, you know, sometimes whenever the cannabis issue comes up, and even the media portrays that a lot, whenever they're talking about the cannabis issue, they just saw a whole set of people smoking as if, well, that is the only use of cannabis. And I want the media to stop these things, because that in itself causes people to be, you know, apprehensive when they see you, and they'll turn around and tell you, oh boy, is this the same thing? Is this legalized or decriminalized for the man to just be smoking all over the place? I mean, show a lab, show some doctors and some medical patients being administered cannabis. Show a different image, a different vibe, man. You know, don't just be always showing it's a smoking thing, you know. So I want to appeal to the media whenever they carry any message, any news story on cannabis, show a different perspective. Stop always showing people smoking. Show people in a lab dealing with cannabis. Show a medical doctor administering cannabis, because the knowledge, the information is out there. They could get these things on YouTube, on the internet, etc. Not every time you're carrying out a story on cannabis to just be showing people smoking. You'll have to stop it. For goodness sake, stop it, media.
Mr. Bernard hearing you? I don't
Yes,
know.
yes, yeah, Mr. Bernard, I hope you're hearing me too. And all the other media personalities out there, man, stop showing that, man. You know, it gives people a different vibe, because I don't know where you stand, but personally, and in all the consultations we've had, we don't support public smoking, period. Whether it be cigarettes, cigar, everybody have a right to breathe in their fresh air with no pollutants, no smoke whatsoever. So I do support public smoking, and from all the consultations with the cannabis movement, the commission, etc., that is a position we have articulated. We do not support public smoking. So so people who have that fear about cannabis will be legal and all little guys around the block will be just smoking, walking down the road and this and that, police will still arrest these people, because you cannot be walking down the road and smoking anything, whether it be cigarette or whatever, because the same way some people can't take the cannabis smoke, some people can't take the cigarette smoke likewise. So respect everybody's right to breathe fresh air and stop smoking in public, period, of any substance. Yeah, man.
The people that drink in public.
Stop drinking in public.
Yeah, because okay, so now you're saying that because people that drink in public.
Yeah, but I mean, a man drinking in public does not really affect you, but a man's smoke will go far and wide and affect a whole set of people. A man having his glass in his hand drinking is something. Unless, well, that man intoxicated and now come and look for trouble if you, which in any case you have to run away, because you can't reason if a drunk man, you know, they'll all give you wrong if you even get a
sometimes the man that's so drunk, when they talk to you, you yourself get
yeah, tight. The smell knocking you out.
Yeah, but I mean, definitely, that is not something I personally practice. I would even there must be a strong educational component
Correct.
to this, and even on one of my 5-minute radio program I spoke of the whole aspect of the I think our time is up, you know, but it was probably a little time. The whole aspect of edibles, 5 minutes, right?
I heard you on that, and
yeah,
that was
and
some very serious points you made there, brother.
that's very important that people are educated on that, because even the whole aspect of the edibles and how to consume it, and because enough times people overdose themselves,
Yes.
and it's not that it's going to kill them, but the experience is not a nice,
Not so nice
experience,
brother.
and it's not a nice experience for the person that's going through it, nor the parent of that person that's seeing their child in that state,
Correct.
just because they some cookie
Cookies or
contain,
something.
you understand?
Yes, my brother.
So all that education supposed to go out there. That's why even in everything they must have a framework. It's not about just things and vitified and no. There must have a framework whereby at least that people could be thoroughly educated on how it is that they're supposed to approach the whole aspect of ganja, right? And also how it is that they're supposed to be able to utilize it without even harming themselves. I'm one that's against the spliff and them type of things.
Yes,
like, period. And you know
yes,
that?
man. That's spliff culture.
Yeah.
I hate
So
that, man.
so more, you know, because definitely we have to look into even the Rastafari community, the chalice and the steamers and all them different type of things. It's an opportunity,
Yes, my
right?
brother.
Whereby, you know, these things there because that's products.
Now, I'm hoping even in the educational program that the Rastafari community is brought on board to be part of whatever committee or whatever it is that they'll put in place for that educational program, because these points you're bringing across, they're very important. So I'm hoping that we can be part of that conversation. And I believe so far they have made accommodations for the Rastafari community to have a seat at that table at every step of the way. Even on the commission, we had 2 representatives on that commission. So moving forward, I'm hoping that that spirit will continue and the Rastafari community will be on these different educational boards, etc. Because, like you were saying earlier, some people that will just talk, they're not the authorities on these things. So we've been, we actually living the life, if so to speak. So who's best to speak on the issue? And even when it comes to into the schools as well, my brother, that's important for us to get into the school system, because I'm one that always will come out and tell you marijuana does not belong in schools. And children that bring in marijuana in schools, I mean, we have to educate them to respect the Rastaman sacrament, because, you know, you cannot just be smoking anywhere, bring marijuana to school, go under the step and smoke, or you have a lunch break, go behind the school. I totally against those things. But then the Ministry of Education has to engage the Rastafari community in particular to come to the school system. Pretty much what through the NRC, the National Reparations Commission that we are part of, that we all used to go to the school system and talk to the youths. We need those things, because believe it or not, the youths of today, they respect and listen to the Rastafari people and Rastafari brethren and sistren more than the politicians on them, you know. To the youths nowadays, like, politicians have no moral high ground to speak on any issue, you know. So they respect the views of the Rasta community, and you'll pass in a ghetto, pass anywhere where they have quote unquote bad boys, and they'll see you and yell honorable, yell Rasta man. That's the kind of respect they entertain for Rasta people. So we have to use that to reach out to the youths, to engage the youths in meaningful dialogue. Look, now we have that whole spate of suicides going around, you know. We need the Rastafari community. I don't think the system, quote unquote, the system makes enough use of us within the Rastafari community who can reach out and educate the masses, the youth on them, reach out to the youth. Some youth might be having a feud among them, and who'll go and talk to the feuding parties? The Rastafari elders can play a role, the Rastafari community can play a role as mediators. You know, so I don't think we are being made enough use of in this society, looking at our experience, what we've been through, and I feel we have a lot to offer. And if only the system, if only the governmental people and you know, the school system, the education system, etc., would realize that the use that they could make of the Rastafari community, and we remain ready and available, you know, even when they have lectures at Safa, where you have some of the youths are doing projects, and when it comes to the Rastafari Livity and Rastafari knowledge, etc. Brothers like Brother Abdullah, as a historian within the Rastafari community, Safa was looking to engage him to come and educate the youths on Rastafari and so on. So we have a role to play, although we have that thing where, okay, we talk about having our own school and so on, but it's not that we casting aside the general society, because we need to ensure that they get the knowledge as well, and we reach out to them and educate them on certain aspects of the Rastafari Livity and Black Livity generally. So we could be made use of within the society, and it is up to the powers that be to realize where they could engage the Rastafari experiences and the Rastafari knowledge to make us a better society, because we have a lot to offer the society.
Give thanks, my brother, and give thanks also for offering that word on suicide. I mean, definitely, that is a topic all by itself.
Yes, my brother.
And we are looking forward even to have greater dialogue when it comes to these things, and we give thanks. Normally we take calls, right? But I'm not the kind of a host that would rate a program by just calls. You know, it is sometimes you have to disseminate information.
Yes, my brother.
And you have to keep the lines
At bay.
So we never open up the line. Sorry, I know we have plenty of comments there, but it's okay. All right, we'll deal with that some other time, definitely. So we give thanks for having the brother with us, and give thanks, Honorable. And I know you said that you have an event coming up.
Yes, Marcus Garvey coming up.
Yeah, and give thanks for the little extra minutes there, Honorable. And we give thanks for the divine opportunity, as we say, that it is our fundamental responsibility to to administer that fundamental love to self. Self-love is the first love. And whatever it is that, I would say I'm the kind of man that would don't want to be captured in the war. I'm not there wholehearted on it. And also remember that we launched the Ubuntu essay competition, and basically what the Ubuntu movement that is chaired by Honorable Empress Ethiopia, my Empress basically, and that we launch that essay competition whereby the children are invited to write an essay COVID on me, and the first prize is $1,000, the second prize $700, and third prize I think it's $500. So you could check on the Facebook page and also on the Instagram account COVID-19 and me essay competition St. Lucia or the Ubuntu movement, and definitely look onto that and sign in. Lots of children has already signed in, and we just left it open for our people in St. Lucia, but in the future we hope to open it up to the region, basically to allow the children the opportunity to express themselves. And it's the Ubuntu movement on Instagram. You could sign up, then submit your essay through the email, and have an opportunity to assist your mother and your father to cover up some expenses. And some of the youths would also be getting um, backpacks, even if they didn't come in the first free or whatever. So we give thanks again for all these things, and definitely we do give thanks for all those people on YouTube. Again, give thanks, Honorable, for being there with us. Give thanks to Calabash Television also, and remind you that Livity is also open now on Jeremy Street, so you could pass there, get your teas and get all your herbal medicines and everything. Remember, may the holy face of the Creator shine upon your holy face, even if it's not so holy. It will shield shine on your face. So give thanks for the divine moment, Honorable. Heart of love, blessed. Thanks. Yes, YouTube, give thanks for the moment.